Hello, this is Jamie with Bloodrock Media, and we're here with Andrea from Lacuna Coil. Did I say your name right?
Andrea.
Andrea.
We
sorry.
say everybody says Andrea here in Italy, but sorry, here in the US, but in Italy we say Andrea.
Okay.
Or Andy. We use Andy as well.
Andy as well. All right. So, you guys have been kind of supporting Delirium for a little while now.
Yep.
I got a lot of questions about that album. I'll start off by asking you, like, how does the music come to be first?
Basically, when Marco, the bass player, which is the main songwriter for the music, came up with ideas, he was forced to stay home and avoid some of the touring we did for the previous record on the final part of the cycle, because he got injured on his intestine. He had a very big problem on his intestine. We had to send him home. He was here on tour actually in America when it happened. We were in Boise, Idaho, and his intestine was almost exploding. So it was a very dramatic moment. So he was fine in the end. So we sent him home, and he continued the touring without him. So he had a lot of time to. Once he take care of the problem, he had a lot of time to songwrite. So he came up with a lot of material. By the time we finished the cycle and we went home, me and Christina, we already had a lot of demos for songs, like 10 or 12 songs already. And everything was going, maybe because of what happens or just because of the way he's been writing, a lot of material was coming out pretty heavy. So we decided that since it was when we approached the recording and the final songwriting, we decided to just follow the music without worrying too much about what people was expecting from us, in terms of having a single or doing something more melodic or being afraid of pushing the envelope a little bit, So we decided just to follow the music, and we also decided to self-produce the record, because we thought that with this kind of record you don't really want anybody to kind of interfere, because sometimes a producer is obviously helping you to finalize the work, but sometimes he can also drive you somewhere else, while we wanted this record to be as rough as it came out.
It's a very heavy album indeed. So you were talking about you and Christina. Are you two sort of in charge of doing the lyrics and the vocal melodies?
Yes, that's what we do. We normally got all the demos from Marco for the music, and then we work separately. Everybody works his own idea. Then we meet at Marco's home studio, and we just jam the ideas and see which one actually makes sense for the part. If it's something heavy needed, or if it's something more epic or more melodic, then obviously Christina's going to sing it or I'm going to sing it. And then together we work, and if it doesn't work, we just throw it away and we rework something, all the three of us together, just following the basic idea that Marco got from the music. So it's really, really democratic, open process. We don't even, if I have an idea that sounds better with Christina's voice, we'll do it that way, or the other way around. We don't really worry too much. We just want to have a good balance for the music, for the song, and the best result for the songs.
It's awesome that you guys can work together so well. I know a lot of bands are kind of like they've got that one guy and he sort of writes it all.
I mean, everybody, I think, has his own vision, his own way of work, and it's correct that they just follow who's doing it best.
That's a very cool way to do it. So how long till we get a follow-up?
We will start working after we finish the cycle for this album, which is in December. We have another tour after this one in Europe, and then we'll be done. So we're gonna do next year. We're gonna celebrate the 20th anniversary of the band with a little bit of event, like single events, but not a full tour. And meanwhile, we're gonna write and try to record the album as well. So hopefully, it's gonna come out somewhere in the beginning of 2019.
So is there any possibility in that celebration of the 20th anniversary of the band that we might get some sort of really live DVD package or something like that?
Yes, we're actually filming the show we're going to play on January 19 in London, England.
Very cool.
Celebrating the 20 years. It's going to be a special, unique show with all the songs we never played before, songs that we haven't played in a long time.
Very cool.
And
no, come on, man. You guys are all right?
No, we were looking for a place.
Interview going on.
And so we're gonna do a special show with also some special visual. There'll be sort of a circus, like a dark circus doing stuff on stage while we play. So it's gonna be a very unique event.
Sounds very incredible. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Let's talk about vocals and what do you do in preparation for show?
do normal warm-ups. Like we used to do more, to be honest. Nowadays we just do a little bit, but not too much, because sometimes you overdo it with the warm-up, especially on tour when you have a schedule every day, interviews, singing, sound check. So it's better to sometimes just preserve the voice as much as you can. But obviously we do need a little bit of warm-up, so not long, like 20 minutes, just normal exercise. I do more pushing stuff to do the distorted vocals, or even physical stuff. It's very important that you stay healthy, like you stay, don't overdo it with drinking, smoking if you smoke, or do a little bit of exercise. It's very important, more than how much you warm up. You know, if you warm up in 20 minutes, fine, you know, because then you're going to sing every day for at least 1 hour. So it's not that you are really in need to warm up so much. You know? Right.
Well, you're doing some more sort of guttural vocals. I think you've kind of answered that question already. You talked about being inspired. It's because some of the songs were a little heavier. Is that what kind of went into making you want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, we were used to do all the...
We have been invaded by the Empire.
I know you.
Stay, let's go down to the...
We've met before.
Yeah.
We got...
Let's see it.
Y'all part of the 501st?
Yes, we are.
We got Marco and the 501st Legion out here today. That would have been a great visual for video, right?
Basically, I mean, the music being so heavy, obviously pushed a little bit the vocals to be like that. We used to use more of the growl vocals in the beginning of our career. Then the music went a bit more melodic or gothic or different. So we just choose to bring it back because it was fitting the music. You know, so it was the right moment to bring it back.
Well, those are those moments you were talking about. You had some pretty good singing parts in those as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're open. Even in the future, we will keep using the growl vocals as well as the normal, more powerful vocals. But it's just that sometimes we have already Christina does a lot of the melodic stuff. It's not really necessary that I do all of that. And plus, she's pretty good at it. You know? So
that's an understatement. So I know you don't normally get asked about gear, but I like gear. So I want to ask you, like, do you have anything particular that you like to use microphone-wise, or?
Microphone. We're actually in the middle of experimenting different brands. Like even in studio, we tried a lot of different stuff. We tried Audix, Shure. We tried a Line 6, and now live we're using Shure, but also in Europe we're using also the new Line 6 mics, which are emulating different capsules. Like you can have the Shure, the Audix, the Sennheiser. So there's a lot of good mics out there. You know, I think you have to find the right one for your tone. And for me personally, and in studio, I really like the old Sony mic, the one with a huge condenser coming out. I don't remember the name of the model, but that for my voice is perfect because it's very set on the mid-high range, more mid than high, and so for me it's perfect. While Christina is more of the Neumann style, you know, more of the typical Neumann. And on this record, for all the growls, I've used just the Audix cable, like the normal one you would use live.
Oh, really? That's cool.
One you can even take in your hand; it doesn't feedback. The good thing about Audix is that they very rarely feedback, so it's perfect if you wanna sing like you're doing live. It's perfect because you can grab it even in the studio.
Extremely cool. A lot of people, you don't ever hear that very much, and I'll bring my live mic in the studio to use it.
Yeah, and we've tried, and because a lot of times, like for example, if you take a band like Rage Against the Machine, all their vocals be recorded with the normal Shure, the 58, you know, so they just use the normal mic you could use in a club. So it really depends what you need the mic for. You know, you can have the most expensive mic in the world, but if you just need to do some growl vocals, it doesn't make sense, you know. So you have to find what give you the best result based on your kind of performance. And then we're using the Ultimate Ears in-ears and Sennheiser body packs for the in-ears, and also in Europe we have also Shure body packs. So we try different brands because it's getting very complicated if you're using wireless equipment because it's so difficult with the frequencies. Like we've tried digital frequencies, we tried normal radio frequencies, and they're shrinking and shrinking because of the Wi-Fi and all the use of frequencies that they're doing nowadays. It's really hard. Like today, we couldn't make our packs work for the in-ear, so we had to ask Epica to lend us theirs because there was only a certain space for frequency. So we struggle, and hopefully they're gonna work later. But they also had problems with theirs. So
oh wow,
it's getting complicated using wireless things.
So you're a founding member.
Yes.
And how did it get started?
Basically, me and Marco, the bass player, we were kids skateboarding, and when we couldn't skate, we were staying home because it was raining or cold, and we were staying home and jam our favorite bands, So we were listening to, when we were kids, there was Anthrax, Pantera,
awesome.
Black Flag, the Chili Peppers, and all kind of mix between hardcore, metal, punk, varieties like Bad Brains or Dead Kennedys or Metallica or Iron Maiden. So we were listening to that stuff, and we grew up with that alternative music and always jammed to those. And then we started going to the practice room and finding other people to play with. And then slowly we moved more and more into the music, growing up and finding other people we could play with at the local metal bar or in other practice rooms around the town. So we just got more and more into the music until we decided to do a demo tape. And we met Christina. She was working at the metal bar where we used to hang out, and we knew she could sing. And at the time she was dating Marco, so we had just asked her to do some background vocals for the demo. There was 2 songs, and we were recording it at night because it was cheaper. There was a convention with the studio that if you start recording at midnight until 6 in the morning, it costs half the price. So we got a really professional studio for a good price, and we were working in the day and recording at night. And that's how we got the demo and then the contract with Century Media, and then all it started from there.
And you did the EP, and then so on and so forth.
97, and from there we just grow step by step.
So you kind of brought some bands up or whatever, but what sort of influenced you as a vocalist?
I mean, I always listened to a lot of... I started more into the hardcore, so the more like the hardcore screaming, let's say, and then towards the death metal growl, and then I discovered vocalists like Nick Holmes from Paradise Lost, so I started in the most distorted kind of screams, and from there, but I always admire a singer like Mike Patton from Faith No More. He's always been my favorite singer because he's been able to do all of it. He can do the very clean, almost crooner kind of vocals, as well as the super crazy screams, high pitch, everything. Obviously I've never been able to do the same, but he's an inspiration for sure about being very adaptable to different situations. So those are my favorite singers, is people like him.
Indeed.
But there's so many good singers, everybody has different style, and I really admire a lot of different singers.
So what about songwriters? Whose songs kind of made you want to say, I want to write like that? I mean, you mentioned Nick Holmes a second ago. Yeah,
of course. When we started the band, we were looking up to bands like Paradise Lost and Tiamat and Type O Negative. The darkest, doomiest side of metal was more interesting for us because we grew up with all the classic thrash and hardcore, so we were finding out a different version of metal, so that drove us towards a more gothic sound. But so many people have wrote great songs, it's for us, for sure, we are a band that likes to write songs, not just a composition of 6 minutes where we change 20 riffs and 20 parts. Sometimes we get a little more intricate, but never to the point where it's not a song anymore. We really appreciate also the lyrics writing. We found out, we learned a lot by working with the producer Don Gilmore. We worked with him, which did Linkin Park, the first Linkin Park on record, and Duran Duran, and a lot of other great records. So with him, we really learned a lot by how you write a story and you drag the listener into the story of the song. So whatever we've learned before was all about how you write the song, but with him, we really learned how you write the lyrics. So for the first time, we felt we really had a complete package, like complete meaning. Before, not being mother tongue English, sometimes we were trying to play with more poetic words or complicated words, that sounds cool, but maybe they don't have as much of a meaning, While working with him, we understood that actually you don't need so many complicated words to write a cool story, When you talk about something that you really feel, You just need to describe the feeling, you know, and that's enough to get the people understanding you better.
I think it comes out pretty well in English.
Yeah, but it's not being mother tongue, it's something that you have to learn, you know, while
Sure.
if you start writing in English, it's more natural obviously
Sure.
for you.
So, you toured North America a lot over the years. What is your favorite thing to have happened to you while you've been on tour in North America?
And it's always a lot of surprises, a lot of people we met on the road. Like the other night we were in somewhere in the Bay Area, in Berkeley, and Rob Flynn from Machine Head showed up at the show, and it was cool to see him. It's been a while since we saw him, so he stayed for the show, and it was cool to hang out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, every tour happened. Yesterday there was a guy from a German industrial pioneer band called D Groups.
Mm-hmm.
It's like historical from the 90s. They were the first one to introduce metal and industrial music. Then Rammstein came after them, you know, so that was the very beginning of that movement.
Yeah.
And the singer came out yesterday, so we hung out on the bus a little bit. So it was also a pleasure to talk to somebody with such a wide experience, you know. And when I was a kid, I remember they did the industrial version of Nothing Else Matters from Metallica.
I remember that, yeah.
And it was something, wow, it was the first time I heard industrial arrangement over a rock song, you know, so it was very cool to know him. So it's always something cool happens. Once we were on tour with Rob Zombie in Vegas, and he introduced his friend Nick. He said, "Can I introduce you to my friend Nick? Is here. Like, he loved the show, so he wanted to say hi." And it was Nicolas Cage, the actor.
Wow.
So it was cool. And so when you're on tour, everything can happen, you know. And that's what I like about touring in North America.
All right. So now tell me about one Spinal Tap moment that sticks out in your mind.
I mean, we had a lot of time we got lost in the venue, you know, especially here. There's some really big venues that sometimes you don't know what's
and
the right
buildings
route to which stage is yours or whatever. So it happens something like that. But overall, we've been quite lucky, and nothing terrible ever happened, to be fair, you know, other than getting lost or nothing really so crazy happens, to be fair. Yeah. One thing happened once. We were on tour in England. I don't remember which city, and we heard a big noise from on the roof of the tour bus. We were on the bus after the show, and we heard this huge noise. So we went out, and there was a drunk guy on the roof, and it was all the police and the firefighters trying to get him down. And basically, he fell from a parking lot. We were parked right behind like a 3-4 stories parking lot, and he fell because he was completely wasted. He fell from on top of the roof of our bus. He didn't injure himself, he was fine. He was just completely wasted, so he didn't want to come on down, so the police had to convince him that take a ladder, and then the firefighters came. So everybody's around our tour bus to get this guy down, you know. So
Ryan's been with you for a while.
Yep.
How about Diego? How's he working out? Are you guys enjoying him?
Yeah. I mean, he's just started with us on the recording and the touring for Delirium. So his first show was actually before that. He only did some shows in Europe, some festivals with his previous band. And in the first show with us, he was in Manila in the Philippines on a festival. We were headlining a festival in a stadium with like 25,000 people. So it was pretty shocking for him to go from a little local show to that. But actually, he made less mistake than we did that night, so it was a pretty good start for him. You know, he's doing really well. He's a good friend, and we looked for somebody that wasn't just somebody that could play the song. You know, we didn't want to have a super professional guitar player. We wanted somebody that could be a friend, you know, a normal guy, like one of the band, you know, another band member, not a super guitar hero. That we had offers from people that can really shred like crazy, but I don't think it's needed for a band like us. We need somebody that can play what we need to play, but need also to be the normal guy, you know, the person that is just enjoying it and wants to be with us, and we can hang out even beside the band, you know. So it's cool that we found somebody from our hometown that, even if he has to learn some stuff, but it's cool to have somebody that is just one of us, you know.
I think the casual fan doesn't realize that.
No, he's good. I mean, he can play, and but obviously it's good to have somebody enthusiastic to be there, not just somebody that you pay and he's there because you paid him, even if he's amazing guitar player, you know.
So, besides music, what do you like to do?
I like a lot of things, like a little bit of sports, like keeping shape, nothing crazy, just normal exercise. Take my bike, mountain bike, riding in the fields. Where I live in the city, but I'm a little bit on the suburbs, and there's a lot of fields where I live, like parks and fields. So I like to go with my mountain bikes and martial arts a little bit, but I have to take it easy with that because of injuries and stuff. So I try not to overdo it. Then I like to go a little bit to some art exposition with my wife, movies, video games, like normal stuff, but stuff to relax. Even if when I'm home, it's a lot of business to do, a lot of the business side of things. I do a lot of the internal business for the band, so it's more like office job when I'm home. I have to go to meetings and stuff like that.
All right, so you guys have a big catalog now.
Yeah.
How do you pick a set list with all those songs to choose from?
Here in America, we usually start from Comalize because that's the record that really made us known here in America. Before that, it was mostly import CDs, so people know the songs, but only the very die-hard fans. So sometimes we try to pull some of the, like My Wings or songs from Unleashed Memories, but they're not very few people knows.
Or Hyperfast, or
Sensafine. Sometimes we do it, but it's not common. In America, usually we start from Comalize because it's the one that everybody discovered the band with, and then on to. Nowadays we're doing, let's say, half set is Delirium and half set is a best of, basically. The Comalize, the Karma Code, the Shovel Live.
And in this day and age, a band can sort of get by with doing songs, newer songs off their recent album, more so than maybe back in the day. Thank you so much for talking to us, man. It's been really fun.
Thank you guys for